What is the most NSFW thing you have witnessed at a party? Dude ran to the bathroom, yelled I gotta shoot, then pulled his pants down, sat his ass on the toilet, and puked on the floor in front of him. Realizing his mistake, he stood up, faced the toilet to puke, and shat on the floor behind him. Walked in on my best friend's little sister sucking two guys' dicks at one time. I quietly exited and never spoke a word lol. A while back I was too young to be at a party and this girl ran out of one of the kitchen buck naked, started twerking on the wall. Her boyfriend rushed into the room, literally picked up his GF and started to carry her to his car. The whole time they were walking to the car she kept yelling about how she couldn't wait for the deck tonight. I was 14 visiting my 19 years old cousin. I wasn't ready. Our CEO had a Super Bowl party at his new giant house for all of the company employees. There was probably 30 to 40 people there. As the night goes on, everyone is pretty drunk and has that type of guy who loves to party and is handing out shots all night. Then one of the new guys we just hired can't hold it anymore and pukes on the back patio. Crowd freaks out and the CEO walks up and tells him if he will eat, if off the ground, he will pay him $100. Puking guy looks at his disappointing look on his wife's and then turns and says I'll do it for $1,000. CEO busts out $1,000 cash. I guess he just walks around with it. A spoon appears out of nowhere and he proceeded to eat, if off the ground. Crowd freaks out. CEO tells him he would have paid him $10,000. Worst part is, Monday morning the CEO fired him saying we can't work with people that would do something like that. WTF. At a party a couple of years ago I witnessed a grown-ass adult who was currently attending university drop a turd in a plant pot in the host's living room. He was just in the corner squatting over a plant pot thinking nobody would notice. A cast party for the theater department at my university led to an orgy, 4 guys 5 girls. I went to a party right out of high school and was drinking with some friends. There was a girl that got super fricked up but was somehow still functioning, and there were some dudes inevitably trying to hit on her. After a few hours, I'm fairly drunk and end up getting tired, so I figure I'm about to pass out on the couch until drunk girl sits next to me. She tells me she's horny and that we should frick. I'm like yeah okay, I've got a condom, sure. 5 minutes of fooling around and she stops me and tells me that in order to frick her, I have to tell her that I love her. I sat there for a moment and responded, but I don't love you. This apparently broke her heart because she ran off to the other room and I was just kinda left there stupefied. A minimum later I hear people yelling and freaking out. I walk in the kitchen and lo and behold, drunk girl is face down in the floor, dress up, no panties, with liquid shoot erupting out her ass like some kind of white trash Krakatoa. The smell was foul and I didn't stick around for the cleanup. I went to my car and passed out until about 7 AM and went home. Final year of high school, at a party where everyone was really wasted. Like the stupid drunk you got before you understood limits. One girl couldn't handle it anymore, so she pulled her jeans down and started masturbating on the couch in front of everyone. Was dark and I don't know if everyone really noticed. Wasn't like those videos where everyone stands around cheering, but then the dad who owned the place walked in and it got kind of awkward. Good party. Went to a topless party in college, as in a party where guys and girls were shirtless. After doing a jello shot off of a stranger's bobs, I told my friends a few doors down about the party. They arrived just as most of the girls went into a back room to get high, and a big bearded man decided to show off his Jacob's ladder by making it a bottomless party. My friends didn't trust me for a while after that. Partying in the barracks. My room had all the beer in the fridge. I was going down on this girl when I felt a hand on my left shoulder. Briefly paused to look up when my buddy says "Kickstant, you're doing a great job." I just needed to grab a beer. I went right back to what I was doing. I once saw a guy shoot his pants and then chuck them out the window. We were throwing a house party for one of our roommates that was turning 21. Said birthday boy was wasted fairly early in the night and was placed in the bathtub with the curtain drawn. Their logic was that he could sleep and if he threw up he'd be in the tub. A couple hours later this girl shows up. She was a friend of a friend, 18, maybe 5 foot tall super white girl who just got off her shift at Twin Peaks. As the mostly sober host, I welcomed her and went outside to have a cigarette. Maybe 15 minutes later I return inside to find the tiny white girl on the floor puking into a trash can. Well, that escalated quickly, but not shocking considering her size. The start of the weirdness was that she was conversing with my friend Daniel. Influent Spanish. Oh. Okay, so she speaks Spanish. A little surprising, but whatever. So between heaves Daniel and I help her to the bathroom to pray to the porcelain god. She wants to shut the bathroom door. I say sure, but not to lock the door, so we can get in there if she passes out, to make sure she doesn't, die. Of course, as soon as she goes in she locks the door. What we had forgotten was that birthday boy was asleep in the tub. He was awoken by what he described as the worst smelling shoot he had ever smelled in his life. Not wanting to let this random girl know he was hiding in the bathtub, he did his best to keep quiet through the gagging. Tiny girl had diarrhea, so rank that she decided that she was too embarrassed to face the party. Her solution? Climb out the tiny bathroom window. When we got the door unlocked and went in, we found her halfway out the window, her shoot-covered thong on the floor, and birthday boy pale and sweating in the tub after his unwanted birthday surprise. She slept on her side on the couch with a female friend to watch over her. The next morning she claimed to not remember a thing and swears she doesn't know a word of Spanish. TL. Doctor, a tiny white girl got absolutely sloshed in a few minutes, started speaking Spanish, then shoot herself so bad she tried to escape through the window. Edit. Added a couple details. Had an outside party at an old house of mine where a rando passed out on his side in the middle of the driveway. The 8 so friends had come with all let him sleep, and the party continued around him. Eventually someone yells my name and points at the passed out fella. Hoss managed to get his dick out and start peeing while still on his side. At this point everyone outside has stopped what they were doing to gasp at this turn of events. After a while he begins to slowly lean backwards and the arc of bus gradually goes higher and higher into the air. Finally he makes it all the way onto his back, and the angle of his pecker is just right so that the remaining piss hits him right between the eyes. Half the party was disgusted and unimpressed, but the rest had plenty to bond over for the rest of the night. TL. Doctor passed out, dude pisses on his own face in front of an audience. Edit. Everyone asking if this was in their city is hilarious. Y'all are freaked up. At a party in a huge house on the lake that had a second living room upstairs. Walking up the stairs I can hear all this commotion going on. As I enter the room there is this guy smashing a chick on the couch, doggy style, right there in front of everyone. He was getting high fives from other guys and people were just standing around watching and cheering. Well, a few years later, I get married, and at Thanksgiving dinner with my in-laws, when my brother-in-law brings his new girlfriend to meet the family. You guessed it, it was her, same girl that was getting smashed on the couch. Well, he ended up getting married to this girl and now every time I see them at a family get together all I can see is the image from that night at the lake. Some dude passed out in the corner of this apartment party and there was a dude crouched over him trying his hardest to shoot on his head. He couldn't do it so nothing happened, but I wondered if I should have told the passed out guy what he tried to do, but then again, if someone tried to shoot on my head when I was passed out I wouldn't want to know about it. I've been to a couple of parties where a few people decided it would be a good idea to throw decorum to the wind and start freaking in the backyard. Most of us gathered round to watch, but on one occasion, a few others joined in. Friend hired a prostitute for his day party and she proceeded to bang any guy who wanted it. None of them even knew. They all thought she was some chick who was visiting from Georgia. They still tell the story like she wasn't a prostitute. Some chick was having a house party while her parents were out of town and she was in her teens. Invited like half the school. She was a typical stuck-up beach that didn't really have real friends, just a bunch of fake ones. Anyways, this one guy is having a good time being reasonable, and she doesn't like him, so she has a bunch of people just starting to treat him like shoot. He then gets told to leave, and has like I gotta use the bathroom first. and there is currently all bathrooms occupied, so she tells him to leave, he can't use the washroom. The dude then said, oh, there's a urinal here, and proceeds to punch a hole in the wall and pisses in it. Edit. Added a few words. Her parents. I was at a Halloween party in the last year of high school where two friends of mine had a threesome with the girl in the bathtub while one other girl watched. That's how my friend lost his virginity. Seen two blokes trying to get a girl in to bed, not at the same time. The one who actually did came back after and threw the used condom in the other bloke's face and says, smell what you could have won. Happened at my house. Girl came over, got way too drunk, took off all her clothes and started masturbating on my stairs, and then on the couch, and then back on my stairs. Then she fell down said stairs. We tried putting her to bed before all this went down, but she kept coming back out, each time with less and less clothes on. Eventually we all just kinda ignored her and let her do her thing. Edit. I just wrote this out of order. We tried putting her to bed multiple times first. Each time she came out she had fewer and fewer clothes on until she was naked. Then she started doing her thing. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, but distinctly remember being in the basement at a house party playing a game where everyone ends up naked. Door busted open and him looking at the boots of the town sheriff yelling for his daughter. Oh shoot. She can't find her pants. Help me find my pants. A lady smoking a cigar with her butt. Someone did a bump of coke in the bathroom, then took off all his clothes and ran around the house. The reason why the police were called was because this was at a 13-year-old's birthday party. We were at a house party and this drunk guy got on the roof. Everyone wanted him to jump into the pool, so he did. Breaks an ankle in the process when he missed. Watched a girl drink a beer bottle full of piss. My friend thought it would be hilarious to piss in a bottle and put it in the fridge. A girl who was smashed picked it out the fridge and then drank some. She shouted, "This tastes like piss," then proceeded to take another sip. Never drink an open bottle of beer left in the fridge at a party, people. Edit. My inbox is full of piss. A guy and a girl full on freaking missionary style at a warehouse party. Dozens of people just walked by with barely a glance. San Francisco. A girl was proud that she could fit a 1.25 Coke bottle in her vagina. Everyone was like, yeah, cool. That's kind of weird to tell everyone, and everyone carries on. About 3 hours later everyone is fricked up and the party is getting a bit weird. Some people had taken acid, some had dropped some mishaps, some were smoking weed. Standard stuff. This girl is off her face on map and is adamant about wanting to show everyone how cavernous her vagina is. So she takes her skirt off and readied herself, then proceeds to put a 1.25 Coke bottle halfway inside herself. Everyone was shocked but fascinated. She was so proud. She wasn't so proud the following week at school when everyone called her Cola Candice. Edit. A word. A girl blindfolded, tied down to a bench, and sucking off whoever was standing in front of her, while her girlfriend alternated between spanking and whipping her. Addendum. If this is SFW for you, please let me know where you work. It sounds fun. Back in high school, friend had an open house and threw a party. Uncle came to check on us and we found him smelling a girl's vomit in the bathroom and playing with himself. That's one fricked up fetish. A guy shoot his pants while trying to dance with a girl. He was beyond fricked up, and that defined the rest of his stay-in career. Edit. This is from 2005 to 2006. We were stationed at Camp Cassie, then moved to Camp Castle right up the road. We were the main support battalion closest to the north. He wasn't nervous, just cold and not shoot his pants when he got super wasted. This blew up pretty quickly for a shoot your pants story. Thanks for letting me relive some great times I hadn't thought about in years. Watched a guy lose at beer pong and get mad enough that he turned around and punched the first thing he could land his hand on, which turned out to be a window. In the movies, if you break a window, you don't get hurt. In real life, if you slam your fist through a window, the falling glass cuts you so deep you practically amputate your own hand. There was so much blood that we thought that was what happened. We thought he sliced his hand off. One of the sober partiers rushed him to the hospital, while the rest of us just left because the scene involved so much blood and gore that none of us even wanted to party anymore. He ended up okay, has an ugly scar for the rest of his life, but at least he didn't actually lose his hand. I was at a college pool party with all my friends, but they invited some weird looking guys, but hey, they brought more food and drinks. We were all in the pool just having fun. It wasn't a really big pool, maybe 15 MTS long tops, and then out of nowhere they started having sex there while we all were inside the pool. We all ran from the pool, some girls were screaming, and they just kept doing it. I swear to God those guys didn't give a frick at all. Posted before but still NSFW/NSFW Darwin Award. Guy that I knew of in high school thought that because he was gangster he knew how to handle a gun. Grabs a revolver from the home and tries to cowboy gunslinger it by spinning it on his finger. He got 1 or 2 rotations in her and banged one 38 round right to the empty space between the ears. Party died just as fast as he did. I was about 18 and at a friend's gathering/party. Said friend's mum came home from her date drunk, followed me into the bathroom and wrapped her hands around my neck and tried to go down on me. This would be like an ultimate fantasy if she was hot, but sadly not. Still not told him that all the time a girl took off her pants and squatted onto a Smirnoff Ice bottle and proceeded to pleasure herself with it and pose for pictures. Saw some guy put a banana in the washing machine, put it on a 40 spin, and masturbate whilst watching it. Don't do drugs, kids. It's more NSFL, but one time a guy threw a chair at a girl, hitting her directly in the face. There was a moment of shock and people ran to help her, but then everybody, including the women, seemed to lock eyes, like we are going to frick this guy up. He soon tripped and fell down the deck stairs 4 times. More NSFW. Saw a guy at a party in college beating off 2 guys and blowing one sitting in the middle. I'll let them have their privacy, and while I'm not personally gay, I did pause for a moment before I left. The coordination involved was impressive no matter what your sexuality. I'm at some meetup for PAX and we've got people from all over the country, crammed into like 3 rooms. Some guy pissed himself, we kick him out. 2 dudes take turns railing some not very hot chick. The night goes on and things quiet down until like 4 AM when these dudes start talking about calling for a hooker. When I got home I'm pretty sure I had swine flu too. It was shooty. I saw a guy stick his big toe in a naked girl's vagina on a ping pong table. Went on a camping trip with my then boyfriend and 3 other friends. One of the guys had just broken off his relationship, so we expected a lot of healthy drinking to take his mind off things. Well, shoot went sideways. We were all drinking and having a good time, but he got absolutely smashed and started screaming across the lake. We were right next to lake properties, and he was letting out guttural screeches like a banshee. Then he whips out his deck and started pissing. So we all got a hold of him and put him to bed before someone called the police on us. 15 minutes later, we're sitting around the campfire and Hez back, wailing like a banshee. This time, however, Hez completely naked. This guy's 100% blacked out, to the point where I don't think he even knew where he was. He starts spinning around and pissing like a sprinkler while we desperately try to talk him down without getting in the line of fire. Eventually the bravest among us, not me, grab a hold of him and lead him back to the tent, where he subsequently screamed himself to sleep and pissed all over his sleeping bag. I've been waiting to share this disgusting story with Reddit. It'll probably be buried, but even if I can make one person feel how I felt, I'll be pleased. I was at a party and this couple went into a bedroom to do their thing. No big deal. It happens. They come out, and I notice this guy run into the room right after them and dig in the garbage. He fishes out their freshly used, still damp condom and takes it out to the main floor and gets everyone's attention. Then, he shamelessly tips it back and dumps the entire contents in his mouth and swallows. The dude literally took a cam shot from a used condom in front of an entire party just to get a reaction out of everyone. For some reason he looks pleased with himself and everyone else looks absolutely disgusted. I've been trying to rationalize the action ever since I saw it. Also, the guy who owned the cam tried to fight him and was really pissed off about it. Someone broke it up, and the party dispersed soon after. I used to collect money from everyone that wanted to party, then I'd use the money to organize the party. I was in a Goodwill, and they had a freaking giant box of plain white t-shirts, and another of plain white boxes. They were on all unused, donated in the big boxes. I asked if I could buy both boxes for 100 and got M. Then I bought alcohol, mostly vodka and Everclear, a couple kegs of beer. I bought a ton of fruit and juice. I bought 2 kiddie pools and filled them with watered down juice. Soaked peaches and vodka, bananas too. Had a few watermelons with a hole cut in the top and the rest of a bottle of Everclear plugged in each one. Party day rules: men in boxers, women in t-shirts. Got a bob for a peach if you're a dude, banana if you're a chick. Then you can party. Totally freaking nonsense idea that didn't work at all, except to get every guy and girl there totally messy, totally sticky, and totally freaking shoot-faced. Nudity everywhere, even prid people had some sort of naughty bits showing. So basically everything worked exactly as intended, but those peaches and bananas were hard mode to get out, which made everyone get even more messy. I wish I hadn't come into this so late. I threw a party at my house and a bunch of people from another school that I didn't know showed up. One guy came wearing a Hulk mask and those giant Hulk gloves. He ended up freaking this chick on my pool table, still wearing his outfit, chanting "Give it to the Hulk, give it to the Hulk, TLDR Hulk smash." Then new girlfriend invited me to a party at a hotel room. Lots of alcohol, many of them had drugs. Sobriety has left the building. After most everyone had passed out, I was woken up by my G/F as she was woken up by some guy trying to grate the girl he brought in her sleep. Didn't go so well for him. When I was still in college, I was at a sorority party with my then girlfriend. A woman, probably a freshman, was on the floor, ass up, pants and panties to her ankles, funnel in her ass, and people were pouring shots in her asshole. I was too high, drunk, and stupid back then to realize that this could easily have killed her, and I just left the room with my GF. Had this happened today, I definitely would've intervened, but back then I was just like, whoa dude. She lived, so it's all good. When I was a sophomore in high school, a girl I know invited me to a party she was throwing at her house. In hindsight, I realized she had a crush on me. In high school, I did not party at all, nor drink, but I was curious, so I decided I would go. I get to this party and the eventual valedictorian of our class was dancing topless on a glass table, barefoot. A split second after I noticed this, her weight causes the table to collapse and shatter. Since I was the only even remotely sober person at the party, I was tasked with dealing with the fallout. Thankfully, it was relatively tempered, and the shards weren't particularly small or sharp, and she wasn't too badly injured. Edit. Well, this is by far my highest ever upvoted comment. To celebrate, I had very spicy noodles. Yum. Wife and I hosted a few Halloween parties over the years. Nothing really scandalous, just good times. One year had a girl fall down the stairs. House was a split level. It was like 6 stairs, and somehow turned it into a single-handed cartwheel, with beer in hand. She somehow landed it, leaving a bit of beer on the wall, and a big dent in the ceiling from the heel of her shoe. I would have never believed it had I not been standing there talking to someone, and seeing it actually happen. Then we had kids. And lost our fun factor. Edit. Spelling. I was in charge of taking care of a 28Y/O German exchange student while I was only 19 at the time. At some point during a party, I realized I had lost track of him, and I started to hear whispers around the room. In response, I made a cursory search to find my missing German. He wasn't that hard to find. While he was hidden from the main line of sight, he was still relatively in the open, making out with a girl half his size. It was getting to the point that she was riding his hand and moaning. If left alone, they definitely would have gone further. That's when I heard what the whispers were saying. She's 13. I immediately had an oh frick moment and went over to pull them apart. I asked my German compadre if he knew what middle school was. He said no. I asked him if he knew what high school was, and he said yes. That girl was in middle school, which comes before high school. She's probably less than half your age. You can have fun tonight, but you need to be more careful. His eyes grew to the size of saucers as he realized the extent of what was going on. In his panic he said no more fun, and promptly left to get some air, and probably a drink.